Welcome to a Mecha Monster Monday, which is a little different than our usual fare, but still a superb way to start your week. As I just stated, I've made a mecha for you all as we tap into Starfinder, and I revive my Mechamorphs. But this time, using the actual vehicles of Starfinder 2E. So go ahead and start your engines, and let's take off on this build for the Motocon Chaser.
Winning isn't enough, Jack. You want to make him cry.
It's been a while since I've made a Mechamorph, and I am once again tapping into Arter's arts for my robot's illustration. As for why it's been so long, that's honestly because I wanted to wait and see some of the design ideas behind vehicles in Starfinder Second Edition. I'm hoping that there's going to be a good collection in the Tech Core book, but for now, we've got the vehicles featured in the GM Core. It's an admittedly small list, but it gives some solid standard sort of vehicles to work with. However, given the very basic nature of many of these vehicles, rather than building proper characters, I'm going to build some drones, like the Viacons from Beast Machines or Transformers Prime. Naturally, I'm giving them my own name with the term of Motocon, and starting with one of the baselines for Starfinder vehicles. In this case, we're looking at a Motocon drone for an Enercycle, a motorcycle-styled vehicle that I have designed as a skirmisher, and is largely built around pursuing, though not necessarily directly engaging, enemies. For the time being, I want to stick with using the same level as the vehicle the bot is based on, so our Chaser is merely level 1. I do want to figure out differing base level vehicles and robots eventually, but that'll take a bit more work, especially when it comes to formatting. As a drone, our Chaser here does use the Construct, Mindless, Robot, and Tech traits. Notably, it lacks the Mechamorph trait, because I did define them as living robots, which these drones just don't match. I do want to mention that I only use the medium size for the Chaser despite the Enercycle technically being large. And I must admit something. I don't like mass shifting. I am the Edna mode of mass shifting. Which is probably blasphemy considering Soundwave is my favorite Transformer, but the heart hates what the heart hates. Or something like that. Anyway, I just can't accept a motorcycle becoming a large creature. That all said, the Chaser does use a high dexterity befitting the skirmisher style that I intend for it to be. This is really its standout ability score, with the next closest being an in-between low and moderate strength, which is mainly meant to let it bring its blade to bear. Its constitution and charisma are properly low, as these are meant to be pursuers that refrain from direct engagement, and it's also kind of mindless. Nevertheless, it needs a moderate perception to help it track its targets, and is also equipped with low light vision for those places in the city where the light doesn't quite reach. Furthermore, its innate agility lends to a high acrobatic skill, which will also help it tumble through and around adversaries. Its survival is moderate, just in case it needs to track down fleeing targets, and its athletics is low, just in case it happens to need its athletics bonus for anything. While the Chaser is lightly armored, its dexterity still leads to it using a high armor class. It's going to be dodging and weaving between blows for the most part, and along with this, I used a moderate pool of hit points. It has a whole host of immunities to it as a construct, and also due to its mindless state, which led to me also using low saves for its fortitude and will saves, whereas its single high save is its reflex bonus, based off of its similarly incredible dexterity. Honestly, its defenses are rather simple, and its offenses aren't too much more complex, if at all. Given its focus on tracking and pursuing, I decided to give the Chaser a high bonus for both of its strikes, which do both rely on its dexterity due to its nano-edge blade, including the finesse trait. And actually, both of its weapons also share a moderate damage value, which certainly isn't bad, but is a little basic. Neither its blade nor its laser pistol have anything too crazy going on, though I did apply the self-created alternate trait to its pistol so that it could also take shots at people when in its Enercycle mode. Which it gets into through the Convert action, a standard ability of my Mechamorphs. However, there is a slight difference between the Chaser's Convert and most of the others that I've made. At its baseline, I designed Convert to be 2 actions, but I wanted to represent the speed of the Chaser by having this only be 1 action for it. It can swiftly change from robot to motorcycle, or vice versa. On top of that, the Chaser has the momentum ability. After moving in its vehicle mode, the Chaser can use this to both convert and then keep that movement going, stepping up to 10 feet and thus evading any attacks from enemies by that particular movement. This helps to conserve the feeling of motion and works with the Chaser's general design for speediness. Inspiration-wise, this is based a bit more on the likes of the Bayverse Transformers, where they would often transform without stopping their movement, which was always cool to see. Now once the Chaser is in robot mode, we have a few other abilities to make use of. First up is Drive-By. Although this has some similarities to Pounce, the fact that it allows the Chaser to attack at any point during this movement does make it a little bit stronger. As such, I added the Flourish trait to this, though I did still keep it as a single action. I suppose it is missing the remains hidden aspect of Pounce, but stealth isn't really a feature on the Chaser, so I think this works out fine for its overall design, while also keeping it from becoming too oppressive.
Damn, I'm good.
However, if you are looking to oppress people, or at least your players, you have the Hobbling Slice to make use of. This is 2 actions to inflict what I think to be a pretty hefty penalty to a creature's speed. However, this speed penalty is actually based on the penalty inflicted by a first level glue bomb, and that even has a duration of 1 minute, which the Chaser doesn't achieve unless it lands a critical hit. Now, I do have to account for the resources a bit, because the only thing that this requires is 2 actions from the Chaser, without expending any limited items or something like that. On the other hand, a creature can try to escape the effect of the glue bomb, which is not the case with the Hobbling Slice. Either way, this is actually one of the first abilities I came up with for the Chaser, running with the whole idea that it slows targets until more combat-capable units arrive on the scene. Aiding the Chaser in its eponymous duties is Give Chase, a reaction that is pretty much straight ripped from the Barbarian's No Escape, with a few minor modifications. This is meant to help our Motocon maintain a measure of distance from its target, so rather than being a creature within reach, it affects a creature within range, and allows the Chaser to keep up with its intended target. It was actually a bit of a last-minute addition, but I think it suits my Motocon fantastically, and lets me give it a fun reaction to play with, which is admittedly a habit of mine. There is no treasury to talk about this time, since I am using one of the actual vehicles published by Paizo, which does mean that we've gone tearing through the finish line. A mecha moving with momentum, our machine maintains a moderate measure with mischief makers, but means to match their mileage as they make haste and move out. Encounter-wise, I imagine the Chaser is working best against slightly higher leveled player characters, letting a number of them harry the heroes before a larger unit can engage with them after being slowed by the Chasers. You could also use them in an actual chase, featuring them whenever the heroes fail to make their escape. I do mean to make more Mechamorphs, but it might be a minute. I'm actually going to be taking a break come January to work on setting up a Patreon. Something that might be a long time coming. In the meantime, let me know what you think of this creature and what other sorts of monsters you'd like to see in a comment. If you like what you see here and want more, be sure to leave a like and then subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the blog, which is linked below along with the Twitter and Discord. Thanks for watching, and have a monstrous Monday.
Quickly!